You'll often hear me say that Vic Amuso, the official Lucchese boss, doesn't have much involvement when it comes to the everyday ongoings of the family. This is the responsibility of the acting boss. You've also heard me mention that when Mikey DeSantis stepped into that position, one of the first actions that he carried out was to revisit all the guys who were put on the shelf. If he felt their being in that situation was unwarranted, he began to reinstate them, which I always admired and felt was a good thing. Nonetheless, one of the guys on the shelf that he was unable to do this with was Frankie Lastorino, the former Consigliere. Frankie was someone that Vic wanted to remain on the shelf indefinitely. I know the reason, and I'll review it for those of you who aren't familiar. But more importantly, was Vic justified or just transferring his hatred for one person while taking it out on another? The main culprit in this situation was Gaspipe Castle. From the moment he and Vic became fugitives in May of 1990, Gaspipe began running a sort of quasi-family within the Lucchese family, one where he was calling the shots. In the beginning, Vic was unaware of what was happening, but things became increasingly worse as time went by, especially when Vic was arrested in July of 1991, which Gaspipe assisted law enforcement by giving up Vic's location. With Vic now out of the way and dealing with legal matters, Gaspipe had free reign to run the family as he pleased, and was at that moment the sole person issuing orders. One of the Brooklyn members close to Vic was Patty Testa, and for Gaspipe, Patty was a problem. He knew he was a Vic loyalist, one in his eyes who was better off dead. During this time frame, Lucchese members were living on shaky grounds due to Gaspipe's unpredictability and irrational decisions. At the top of Gaspipe's list of priorities to deal with were the Gambinos, who tried to kill him in September 1986, and his second priority was Patty Testa. So in his mind, why not kill two birds with one stone? According to what Frankie Lastorino told me, was that Gaspipe ordered him to kill Patty Testa. He explained to me that he'd known Patty since he was a baby and even pushed him around in his stroller. Frankie was put in a very bad predicament by Gaspipe. Hit Patty, who he really didn't want to kill, or be hit himself for refusing an order. On December 2nd, 1992, Patty Testa was killed at his Brooklyn auto garage. Following the murder, Gaspipe had Frankie Lastorino spread the word that the Gambinos were responsible. In addition, he sent word to Vic in prison stating the same fact, which was believable since the Luccheses were involved in hitting three of their people. As a result of hearing this news, Vic ordered an investigation into Patty's murder and would eventually approve hits on Nicky Carozzo and John Jr., although those hits were never carried out due to the massive indictments that would take place. When Vic was arrested, he made arrangements that all money would now go through his brother Bobby. That arrangement didn't sit well with Gaspipe, who instructed Frankie Lastorino that all Lucchese money should go through him and no longer through Bobby Amuso, which in itself was the first blatant disregard for Vic, and at the same time, taking the money issue to another level. Gaspipe then decided to eliminate Bobby Amuso completely and was more than likely going to blame the Gambinos as well. One of Bobby Amuso's rituals was to call a taxi each morning to take him where he needed to go. So Gaspipe instructed Frankie to get a fake taxi, pick Bobby up, and kill him. This too never took place. Gaspipe was arrested himself on January 19, 1993 in Mount Olive, New Jersey. Ironically, he was caught on a wiretap speaking with Frankie Lastorino, which led to his location being exposed. On the street, Vic and Gas was thick as thieves, and inseparable for the most part. Out of the two of them, it was Gas who was the power tripper. They both came into power by betraying and turning on Buddy Luongo, and Gas did the same thing to Vic less than a decade later. His thirst for power overshadowed any and all loyalty he possessed in his DNA. During Gaspipe's initial incarceration, he devised several plots at escaping. When none of them came to fruition, instead of facing a trial where a conviction was certain, he decided to begin cooperating. But let's not forget that he assisted law enforcement years earlier by giving up Vic's location, resulting in Vic's arrest. So it was during this time that people started talking, specifically about the treachery of Gaspipe. which led to Vic learning the true reason behind the hit on Patty Testa, as well as the attempted hit on his brother, all ordered by Gaspipe. Since cooperating, Gaspipe was moved to a prison for government witnesses, leading to Vic's anger being transferred to Frankie Lastorino and calling for him to be immediately shelved. It's a fact that Gaspipe directly put Frankie in the mix, and with Gaspipe now out of the picture, Frankie was being blamed. But was he to blame? Was he at fault? When I go over everything that took place, there was only one thing, well actually two, that Frankie could have done differently. The first being send word to Vic about Gaspipe's order to kill Patty. The problem with that was Vic being in prison, and getting word to him and waiting for a response takes time. It also involves telling the person who would be bringing Vic the message on a visit. After giving Frankie the order, Gaspipe would expect Frankie to carry it out quickly, and if it wasn't carried out, he would become suspicious as to why it was taking so long, which would fall on Frankie. The second option Frankie had was to hit Gaspipe, but that would involve hitting a boss without approval. Other than that, Frankie was only guilty of following orders. The official boss was in prison, and Frankie and everyone else knew that Vic was never getting out, which left their underboss, Gaspipe, who was running the family and calling the shots. During this time period, the family was split into two factions, those loyal to Vic and those loyal to Gas. So you had to be extremely careful, not only what you did, but who you spoke to. It's fully understandable that Vic was extremely upset. As mentioned, Patty Testa was very close to him, and the plot to kill his brother he viewed as personal. If you haven't liked this video yet, please do, as it helps with YouTube's algorithm. And if you'd like to show your appreciation for videos like this, or help me to continue making videos, you can do that by donating with the Super Thanks icon down below, or through the PayPal Cash App links in the video's description. I think Vic knew it wasn't Frankie's fault, because he could have easily ordered Frankie's murder instead of shelving him. Frankie was only doing what he was supposed to do, following orders. And as he told me, what do you think would have happened to me when this fucking nut gave me an order to kill Patty and that order was not followed? He knew the answer, I knew it, and Vic knew it as well. So in my opinion, Frankie wasn't guilty, only guilty of being put in situations where he had no choice but to follow orders. Let me know your opinion as to Frankie Lastorino down in the comments.